Welcome to Henry, Illinois, and the Marshall-Putnam County Fairgrounds. Today, it's the McCormick Tractors Illinois Classic, one of the most prestigious pulling events on tour, and we're going to focus on the Duramax Diesel Pro Stock tractors. We've got a great field of tractors. You can see them lined up back here at the scales. That's one of the final checks. They get weighed before they go out to hook up the sled and make the pull. We're just about ready to go, so let's get out to the track and get this thing underway.
Thank you, Alan Reinhardt. Alan will cover pit row for us all day. I'm Stephen Cox, and we'll start things off with Mike Linder, one of the veterans in this series. Mike will slowly wind up this John Deere tractor and look for a 300-foot full pull. The black smoke pours out the top, and we're underway. And that looks to be an outstanding pull by Mike Linder, and it is 305.98 feet. Very good balance on that. In fact, we're going to take another look at it with our Lucas Oil replay. You can see Mike just working the wheel, a very small touch as he lifts those front wheels off the ground. The perfect amount of weight attached to the front of each frame rail, and he has an excellent run.
Well, Mike, if I'm a betting man, you're going to keep that one.
Yeah, that's a keeper. It was pretty rough there at the end, but I'm glad we made it. It looks like it's going to be a real good track, and the class is going to be tougher than nails, so we'll just see how well it holds up.
Talk about a tough class. Greg Boyd, Steve Boyd, Mike Boyd, the whole Boyd family here today, or at least a lot of them. Greg is up next on Lucas Oil's Green Streak. This is going to be another very, very good pull. He digs in at the end for 312.62 feet. Another outstanding pull from Greg Boyd. On the Lucas Oil replay, you see him let out of the clutch as slowly as possible just to get those wheels spinning. You don't want the front wheels too far off the ground. It shows that you don't have enough front weight balance on the front of the tractor. An excellent job.
All right, 312 feet, is that enough?
I don't know, it's awful early in the class. I made a pretty decent pass. We're pretty happy with that. We've been very happy that the tractor's got a new name this year with the Lucas Oil sponsorship for his Lucas Oil Green Streak, and been very happy with those guys. They've really helped us out a bunch. I don't know, there's a lot of great iron back here. This is as good a place as there is to come pull. The ATPA and Marshall-Putnam County, they do a great job here, and we're really proud to be here.
Well, they've set the bar very high for the rest of the class right now.
Yeah, 312 feet is a very, very high mark. Ted Meyer is a winner last week in Greensburg in his own hometown. He came away with an ATPA Series win. Rolling Stone coming up next. And I believe Ted ended up using just a touch of brake about 2/3 of the way through that run. 3:01 is still a very, very good mark, but well short of the 3:12 we just saw moments ago from Greg Boyd. Ed Eilenfeld Jr. is up on Nameless. And now we have word from ATPA officials as we're looking at a 291-foot run. That 310 feet will be the adjusted full pull. 310 feet is the mark that you're going to have to beat if you want to go into the pull-off. Well, some troubles there toward the end of that run. Look at that tractor jump up and down. 249 feet for the Green Line Express. Dennis Bolson has to be mighty disappointed with the last few feet of that run. Well short. Mike Boyd is up next. It's Green Streak 2. Mike is, let's see, he's the three-time world champion in the ATPA. He's won Arcola. He won the Winter Nationals with this tractor. He's won just about everything there is to win. What does he have today? 301.18 feet. And remember, that is not enough to make a potential pull-off. The full run will be 310 feet today as we look at a lot of wheel spin for Mike Boyd and Green Streak 2 right out of the hole. More than you want. The tractor beginning to move to the right side of the track. You've got to bring it in with brakes to haul it back down the middle again, and that's short.
So tell me, did you learn anything from the kid that helped?
Yes, sir. We kicked this one up a gear. My brother was in a gear under me, and we didn't know, and this is how you learn.
Ah, the beauty of a two-tractor team.
Greg Boyd still your leader when we come back to the Marshall Putnam County's the world leader in heavy duty and high performance lubricants. And also by McCormick Tractors, the real McCormick.
This week's Pulling 101 presented by Real Power has to do with what came first, the chicken or the egg, or in this case, the pulling sled or the tractors that pull it. Well, you gotta have the pulling sled, and that's what the guys pull. We're gonna show you how it works, real basic. You have two hitching devices. One is a safety device. In case the vehicle was to pull away from the sled, it'll still be connected. Of course, the primary hitch is what the vehicle actually uses to pull 60,000 pounds down this clay track. The next question with the sled, and this is where it gets really unique, is how it actually works. Why is it that it gets harder to pull as you go down the track? It's really simple. Inside this pan is about 40,000 pounds. The pan moves down the track and forces weight upon this pan. This pan eventually, by the time the box is up to the top, becomes so difficult to pull, the vehicles stop, spin out, fire could come at that point. That's why you love tractor pulling.
Thank you, Tom McConnell. So the ATPA officials have a couple of adjustments they can make to try to keep the competition even. They can adjust the weight on the sled or the track distance, and the latter is what we have seen today, and that's why Don Lemke is looking for a 310-foot pull to make it a full pull, and he just misses. Oh my, how close can you get? That has got to be a heartbreaker for Don Lemke, who appeared to have done everything right. You can see the slow release on the clutch. The tractor does jerk to the left just a touch there, but not enough to cause serious braking problems with the right rear brake to try to correct it. So Don gets on down the track with no problem, but just comes up that short.
How's the track coming around?
Actually, it's really biting really good. This thing had all I wanted, and that's where we ended up.
And this tractor won a divisional championship last year with Sharon Markle at the wheel. This is Scott Typen this time driving Nightlife. A ton of horsepower and torque there will come up just a bit short, less than 295 feet for Scott Typen. Tim Obermeyer's next on Sand Hill Binder. A lot of wheel spin and a bit of correction necessary at the end of that run. Makes for a disappointing run. Tim kind of throws his left hand down there and says, oh, forget this, 287 feet will not get it done. Chris Mangelson up next. It's Turn Me Loose. They're in the top 5 in the points with the Badger State Puller Series up north. In a world of red and green tractors, Chris Mangelson's black Turn Me Loose looks very nice. Comes up a touch short at 281, though. Larry Shope is up next. Now we're back to a green tractor, a John Deere. It's called Iron Dragon. He's got good ground speed, but a bit more wheel spin than Larry would have liked out of the whole shot. He has a nice run, but not 310 feet. This will be 302 and change. Let's check in now. Alan is standing by with Larry.
It's going to be close.
Yeah, I knew he was going to be right in there where it stopped at. I didn't know exactly what the lead was, but it's getting pretty tough out there. You really got to get it going quick, and boy, it's taking some horsepower.
Kevin Masterson is up next. This tractor is a John Deere called Tinker Toy. It's an Angler chassis with a body by the Wildmans, who also do a lot of pulling with us as well. It ran in 5th position at the Winter Nationals in Fort Wayne. And our 12th pull of the day nets 316 feet. An outstanding pull for Kevin Masterson. Easily the best pull of the day so far. The Lucas Oil replay shows an excellent hole shot. He gets out just a touch of brake there necessary to correct it, but the front wheels never touch the ground. He never lost the balance all the way down the track for the first 2/3 of this run. 316 feet, Alan.
316 feet. The track looks like it's coming around.
I don't know if it's coming around or you just got to have the horsepower to do it. We just lucked out and we had just enough.
Well, whatever it is, they nailed it on that pole.
Boy, that was a fantastic run, Alan. 316 feet. Greg Boyd with 312. Those are the only two drivers to get past the 310-foot mark. That is the full pull for the day, according to ATPA officials. And we'll be back with more from Henry, Illinois next. Marshall Putnam County Fairgrounds. Hello, everybody. Stephen Cox along with Alan Reinhardt covering the McCormick Tractor Illinois Classic. And now it's time for the Jasper Engines and Transmissions Best Engineered Award. With our winner, here's Alan.
This week's Jasper Engine and Transmission Best Engineered goes to this machine, the Foolish Pleasure of Gary Brinkmeyer. And Gary, tell us what makes your tractor unique.
Well, I don't know if it's unique. It's one of the few red tractors on the ATPA circuit. And
Do you feel like sometimes you're surrounded by green out there?
pretty much lately, yeah. There's a lot of good running green tractors out there.
But being red gives you a pretty big fan following.
Yeah, it does have a good fan following. And
That's one thing about being red in this category. There aren't a lot of red tractors, so the red fans are going to be pulling for Gary. And this week, he's already won the Jasper Engines Best Engineered.
It's called Foolish Pleasure. We know how it looks. We know how it's engineered. Now we're going to see how it runs. Gary Brinkmeyer is currently in second position in the Badger State Pullers Points Series. However, he actually hails from Warren, Illinois. And Gary is grabbing a lot more air with the front end of that tractor than he wanted to early on. He had to let out of the gas just a touch, and that spoils the run for him. Mickey Shorter will come up next on Buck Eater. And you have to wonder what's up with the track right now, as the last two drivers have identical problems with the front end of those machines just jumping up in the air. Mickey Shorter at over 280 feet goes away disappointed as well. And now Dennis Bolson is up next on the Green Line Express 2. .303 feet. Now that beats the effort he put forth with Green Line Express earlier in the day. However, let's take another look at this run on Green Line Express 2, and you see a lot of wiggling as he gets off the marks right there. He lurches to the left, tries to correct it with the wheel. However, the front wheels are not even on the ground, so he has to go back to the brakes once again, and that kills his effort. Carlton Cope, we're seeing red one more time. This is the International Warpath, and he had a terrible run at Arcola just a few weeks ago. He finished in last position, trying to improve and get some confidence back under this thing. A very nice lift at the beginning, however, runs out of steam at the end, 263 feet. Another disappointment for Carlton. That brings us to our 17th puller at Steve Wishmeyer on Barely Getting By. He gives a very nice tug to the Iron Man. He veers to the left at the end of that run, but still it is an excellent run for Wishmeyer. 309 feet. That will not be considered a full pull. Remember, you have to go 310 feet today in order to make the pull off. And it looked as if he was going to make it. Very good balance on the machine there. A nice job of creating that fulcrum where you pull pressure down on the back tires. It just didn't quite have enough this time. Mike Sarver is up next. This is Green Extreme. It's a 55 series John Deere, and Tim drove this machine to 6th place earlier this year in Fort Wayne. And another problem for Mike, this time trying to keep it on the track as he goes down, veers off to the left. And let's take another look at that, because at this point in time, you have to start wondering if the track is going away. It was a very nice run by the driver before him, Steve Wishmeyer, and barely getting by. But Mike has his problems here as he veers to the left side of the track, and brakes are once more necessary to try to straighten it out, along with a lot of momentum wasted with those front wheels. Troy Bader up next. He is the Badger State Series points leader. It's called No Fear Deer. And he grabs an awful lot of air with those front tires. That is the driver working the accelerator, trying to keep a balance there, and he will come up short at 285 feet. Well, guess what that means? We have two men still standing unchallenged, Kevin Masterson and Greg Boyd, the only two drivers to make what appears to be a pull-off a little later in this show. 310 feet is what it takes to put you into the finals. We'll be back to the Marshall-Putnam County Fairgrounds in just a moment. New vehicles, Chevrolet is an American revolution. And by Dixie Chopper, the world's fastest lawnmower. Our 20th puller is Dan Christiani on Gotta Go Deer. Now, he lost to Ted Meyer in Greensburg, Indiana, just last week by less than 2 feet. And when the front end of that John Deere begins to dip back down toward the ground, Dan stands on the gas, and he has a 310-foot pull. Congratulations, Dan. We have another person, the third driver now, who has gone past the 310-foot mark. Let's take another look at it again. This is a textbook pull. He gets the front end of that machine up in the air. As soon as the front end starts to drop, that's when you shove the throttle down as hard as you can possibly go to try to keep the balance and just put the most pressure you possibly can on the tail end of that machine. Rick Campbell on Soup Line Express now has to try to be the fourth man in the 310-foot club. He'll wind up that John Deere and start out very slowly. Not a lot of wheel spin there out of the hole. And that's some type of a major failure that Rick's not going to be happy about. He goes 166 feet, and the Soup Line Express is done. If we are to get a fourth driver into the pull-off, it'll have to be him, Philip Parrish in El Nino right now. He is our last competitor, the 22nd puller in this series, and he's lost the fire. That one's over. That's the shortest pull of the day, and Philip Parrish will come nowhere near 310 feet. So now we move to the pull-off. Greg Boyd on Lucas Oil Green Streak is first up, and he has had a fantastic day so far at well over 310 feet. Let's see if that thing's got it in it twice in a row. A little bit bouncy toward the end, but 313 feet will be the best mark so far, and he will be the man to beat by both Kevin Masterson and Dan Christiani, the other two gentlemen in the pull-off. Now, I want you to take a close look as he gets launched here, almost perfectly straight, almost no corrections whatsoever required. That means all that torque, all that horsepower transferred directly into the Illinois clay, and boy, does it pay off, Alan.
All right, Greg, 313 and change. Is that enough?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think Kevin will get me, and there's a good chance that Christiani will too. They're both running great. We just got to hopping a little bit too much down there at the end, and I don't know what caused that. I don't know if my air pressure's a little messed up. We'll watch it on tape and see, but I don't think that'll hold. If it does, that's great, but you know, you can't be dissatisfied, and you're getting a top 3 at Henry, Illinois. Well, that's a pretty good accomplishment. We're pretty happy with that.
Well, the sun's not beating on the track anymore, and that's helping everybody a little.
The track continues to get a bit more sticky for Kevin Masterson on Tinker Toy. 313 feet is what it's going to take to win the Super Bowl of tractor pulls. And look at him work the brakes. You know that's not what he wanted as soon as he got out of the hole. Too much altitude on the front end. I'll be surprised if he makes it. And he comes up 4 feet short. Kevin Masterson at 309.2 feet, and I believe the problem started very early in this run. Let's take a look at it again on the Lucas Oil replay. As soon as he gets out of the gate, he starts working to try to keep that tractor straight by using just a touch of brake. That led to the front end popping up too high in the air, and it stole his momentum. Otherwise, he could have had a shot at 313 feet. Dan Christiani is the last man standing to take a shot at Greg Boyd. Again, 313 feet and change is what he has to work with. Gotta go Deere. And look at that, John Deere. Lurch over to the left. A brake correction is necessary on the right rear wheel, and that is going to kill his momentum. Dan Christiani comes up with still a respectable run at 305 feet, but not enough to take the win away from Boyd.
Went early in the first session and early in the pull-off. It worked out for you both times.
Yeah, I really, to start with, I wasn't real happy with my draw to be number 2. That's never really a good spot to be in, but was fortunate enough to make it work out. We're real proud with the Lucas Oil green streak. We've had real good luck this year so far. Lucas Oil has been a big help with us and worked with us on a lot of things. And Jimmy Martin, Forrest Lucas, and all the fine folks out there. I want to thank the ATPA for putting this on, the Marshall Putnam County Fair. They do a great job, and all the rest of the sponsors. We really appreciate being here.
It's a simple deal. When it's your day, doesn't matter what number you draw.
And the track kind of threw a wrinkle at everybody throughout the day. It got better later as Greg Boyd, third from the end, turns in the best run of the day. One of 3 full pullers to top the 310 mark. He ends up at 313.34 feet, and he wins Henry, Illinois, the biggest prize and the biggest paycheck in all of tractor pulling. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm Stephen Cox for Alan Ryan.